Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Barakahakodash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off with 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And those storehouses are talking about these places where you get groceries or other goods, like your Walmarts, Kroger's, Publix, Rouse's, Target, Best Buy, etc., etc. There's going to come a time where these places are going to be even more bare than they already are, and people will be fighting to the death to get their hands on what's ever available at those stores. What you saw during the first lockdowns dealing with the Krispy Kreme 1.9 were just an appetizer to the main event. And the reason all this is taking place is because we're living in the last seconds of these last days of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly by the Edomites or the so-called white people, before the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven, where the true children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, will be ruling for eternity. And in this video, I'll be profiling an article to back up this 2nd Esdras 6 verse 22 to show that very soon the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and people that may have been friends in the world or acquaintances or whatever will be fighting each other to get their hands on whatever's left out here. They'll be breaking into each other's houses, killing each other, you name it. This is an article from the economiccollapseblog.com titled "Empty Shelves, Severe Shortages, and Widespread Crop Failures Are Ahead in the Fall of 2021. Empty store shelves, so shall the full storehouses be found empty." The overall mood of the nation is becoming increasingly sour with each passing day. The pandemic seems like it's never going to end, and it's not going to end. What's going on right now with the Krispy Kreme is the new normal, and you're only going to hear about more mutated variants and a need for more booster Vanessas, and it's all going to lead into the eventual mandatory implementation of the MOTB, the MARK, in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 17, the RFID/NFC, MICROCHIPIMPLANT. The drama unfolding in Afghanistan is one of the greatest embarrassments in modern American history, and Joe Biden's approval rating is sinking like a rock as it becomes clear that he is completely and utterly incompetent. Unfortunately, average Americans will soon have even more to be stressed out about. As we head into the fall months, our store shelves are going to be getting emptier. Shortages of products will become more widespread, and it looks like we could potentially have a very bad harvest season. I realize that I packed a lot of really bad news into that paragraph, and some of you may be tempted to think that I'm exaggerating. So let me take this one step at a time. First, I would like to talk about crop failures. According to the Department of Agriculture, 63% of all U.S. spring wheat is in poor and very poor condition. Last year at this time, that number was sitting at just 6%. Extreme heat is baking most of the U.S., North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska all contain areas of extreme drought. According to data from the U.S. Drought Monitor, North Dakota and Minnesota in particular are experiencing near record lows in soil moisture, according to data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. As a result, many crops planted this spring are wilting. Some 63% of the U.S. spring wheat crop is in poor or very poor condition, versus 6% at this time last year, according to Agriculture Department data. So, does this mean that agricultural production will be below expectations? Yes. In fact, the USDA is now projecting that levels of corn, wheat, and soybeans will all be at their lowest levels since 2013. The poor weather has caused the USDA to scale back its expectations for U.S. crop production in 2021, which in turn is causing domestic inventories to dwindle. It's all a vicious circle. Crop failures lead to those storehouses being found empty, which is going to lead to famines out here, which is also a part of biblical prophecy, as well as these different adverse weather events ruining U.S. crops. This is 2 Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 13. I'll start at verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and this is talking about modern day spiritual Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, the United States of America, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. All these bad things coming to spiritual Egypt, the United States of America, is through the will of the Most High, whose true name isn't God, but Yahweh. We're living in the times that the Most High is about to punish spiritual Egypt and those that rule it, these spiritual Egyptians, these Edomites or so-called white people, for all the wickedness they've been committing on this planet, chiefly against the apple of his eye, the children of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They that till the ground shall mourn. And who are those that till the ground? Farmers. And we've definitely seen over these past years that U.S. farmers have been mourning with all these adverse weather effects destroying their crops, as it's about to say, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with the fearful constellation. All these adverse weather patterns, droughts, storms, flooding, snowstorms, etc., etc. The poor weather has caused the USDA to scale back its expectations for U.S. crop production in 2021, which in turn is causing domestic inventories to dwindle. In the USDA's latest monthly supply and demand report, the agency pegged ending stocks for corn, wheat, and soybeans all at their lowest level since 2013. Of course, this comes at a time when we are also seeing crop failures in other key areas all over the globe. For example, we are currently witnessing one of the worst droughts that South America has experienced. Agricultural production has been absolutely devastated in Brazil, Argentina, and elsewhere, and this is going to have a huge impact all over the planet. And those so-called Hispanics in places like Brazil and Argentina are Israelites of the Northern Kingdom, and the Most High bringing adverse weather effects to South America is punishment on them for being wicked and not coming back to their power. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Hey, nobody except the elect is going to be exempt from this harsh judgment that the Most High is about to bring to this entire planet for all the wickedness you people have been committing on it. As it says in Jeremiah chapter 25, the slain of the Lord shall be from one end of the earth even unto the other, and they shall be as dung or shit upon the ground. What this means is that global hunger is going to continue to grow rapidly, and this is extremely bad news because global hunger has already been rising at an extremely aggressive rate. Earlier this month, the humanitarian organization Oxfam released alarming statistics that measured the state of the food crisis after 1 year of the pandemic. Every minute, 11 people on the planet die of hunger. The number of people experiencing famine-like conditions globally has increased by 6 times in the past year. Let me go to Revelation, it's like 2 Esdras chapter 16 real quick. Like I said earlier, famines are also a part of biblical prophecy. This is 2 Esdras chapter 16. I'm going to start at verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Hope you're of that elect number and that Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai has that protective hedge over you so you can be protected from all these coming calamities of Jacob's trouble, which include, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment, punishment for the wickedness people have been committing on this planet. Mainly, you 2/3 Israelites who refuse to return under your power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and you Edomites who are just wicked from the womb and continue to make the living conditions on this planet worse and worse. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. And what did we just read back in that article? Every minute, 11 people on the planet die of hunger. The number of people experiencing famine-like conditions globally has increased by 6 times in the past year. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. If you're not of that elect number that's going to have that protective hedge over you, if you manage to escape the famines that are to come, one of these other calamities out here are going to take you out. Getting killed in a race war, a civil war, by a deadly disease killing you off, getting eaten by wild animals out here, getting killed in the streets by military troops, getting sent off to a concentration camp to be tortured to death, and if you survive all that, ultimately getting hit by a nuclear missile when they begin to be shot to the ends of the earth. And the dead shall be cast out as dung or shit, like I said earlier, as it says in Jeremiah 25, and the slain of the Lord shall be from one end of the earth even unto the other, and they shall be as dung upon the ground. And there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. Many Americans may not care about starving people on the other side of the globe, but they are going to care very much when their Christmas celebrations are ruined because of severe shortages in the stores. While she was in Singapore this week, Kamala Harris specifically warned us about what is coming. The stories that we are now hearing about the caution that if you want to have Christmas toys for your children, it might now be the time to start buying them, because delay may be many, many months, she said. So across the board, people are experiencing the issue, and of course the climate crisis is fueling a lot of this. When we look at the stronger typhoons that have disrupted shipping lanes and sea level rise, which threatens port infrastructure as an example, so these are the many issues that are causing these disruptions, Harris said. Wow. When Kamala Harris starts sounding just like the economic collapse blog, then you know that it is really, really late in the game. Even now, empty shelves and widespread shortages are being reported all over the nation. Susan Duclos over at AMP has done an excellent job of documenting what is going on out there. People from around the country have been sending photos to her, and this has helped her readers to understand that this is not a phenomenon that is just limited to a few areas. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning of sorrows, as it says in Matthew chapter 24. The holiday season is expected to greatly exacerbate the shortages, and it is being reported that new problems are arising weekly. Grocery store chains are still battling supply challenges that some executives said are as bad as what we saw in spring of 2020, when hoarding left holes in stocks of some staples. Industry executives say new problems are arising weekly, driven by the shortages of labor and raw materials. Groceries, including frozen waffles and beverages, remain scarce as some food companies anticipate disruptions lasting into 2022. A wider range of products is running short, and logistical challenges are compounding for many retailers. Grocery stores are ordering more food like crazy, but we have gotten to a point where the largest food distributors simply cannot fulfill all of the orders, when the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. According to Bloomberg, some of the largest food distributors are reporting difficulties in fulfilling orders as a lack of workers weigh on the supply chain. Take distribution giant Sysco, North America's largest wholesale food distributor, who is turning away customers in some areas where demand is exceeding capacity. Worse, food inflation is about to soar. The company said prices for key goods such as chicken, pork, and paper products for takeout packaging are climbing amid tight supplies. In particular, production has slowed for high-demand, labor-intensive cuts like bacon, ribs, wings, and tenders, Sysco said. And if intermediate and final wholesale prices are rising, just wait until they emerge on the consumer side. Needless to say, my regular readers are not surprised by any of this because they were warned in advance that all of this was coming. And to you sincere Akim out there, you shouldn't be surprised by this either, because the true men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, have been warning you about these terrible times to come for decades now. But for most of the U.S. population, the new reality that we are entering into will come as a major shock. They had been promised a new golden era of prosperity, but instead, what they are going to get is a nightmare, and that's exactly what's coming. The judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai on you people, especially those in the United States of America, Babylon the Great, spiritual Egypt, for all the wickedness you've been committing. Famines, food stores, and other places being empty of goods, and then people who were once friends fighting each other like enemies to get their hands on whatever they can to save themselves and their loved ones. We'll close it out in 2 Esdras chapter 15, verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their homes with the sword. And what's the modern day sword in the United States of America? That gun. People will be using guns, sticks, knives, bats, clubs, chains, brass knuckles, Molotov cocktails, anything they're going to have their hands on in that day, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread or food, which we just read about is coming, and for great tribulation, one of the other calamities that Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to bring on you people during Jacob's trouble as punishment for your wickedness. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim are edified. Just keep strong and keep pushing this word. As you can clearly see, we're almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.